Italian energy group Eni says it's made a giant oil discovery in offshore Ivory Coast, which could hold as much as 2 billion barrels of oil. Said it in a statement that it found light oil in block CI-101, adding there could be 1.5 to 2 billion barrels of oil in place and 1.8 to 2.4 trillion cubic feet of gas. Baleen 1X is the first exploration well drilled in the Ivory Coast by Eni, which has stakes in 4 other blocks in the Ivorian deep water. Joining us to talk more about this and also other economic matters like Ivory Coast single-digit inflation, Charles Levy, who's an economist, joins us now. Charles, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. If Eni does explore this oil discovery, what type of revenues could you see potentially accruing to Cote d'Ivoire?
It's interesting to say that the global budget of Ivorian state will increase, and thanks to the oil profit share by Petrosi, which represent the government interest. Then we have the industrial and commercial profit from the operating partner, which in this case is Eni, and which is linked to the exploitation and, of course, production bonuses. These are the main revenue that could accrue with this new discovery.
Fantastic. There's been pressure, though, on oil and gas giants to focus on renewable energy. Could that be a hindrance here?
Oh, I don't think so. It's true that there is a tendency to move toward a transition to renewable energy, but I think that will take decades to be implemented correctly. There are some places that show some the demand still important, still high. So we have to find new places with new discovery to satisfy this demand. And in of Cote d'Ivoire, a part of this discovery, Eni got another 4. Eni will so I think that this will not be really an interest for now.
Just to follow up on that, are the people of Cote d'Ivoire and the government, what's the move towards pushing for more environmentally friendly practices? Is it tangible?
For now, I don't think that we don't have tangible things about environmental issue. It's true that there is a specific ministry which is in charge of environmental issue. It's true that Cote d'Ivoire also have signed Paris Agreement, but in this specific case, we are waiting to see how they will manage with this discovery. But for now, I know that they are aware about this environmental issue, but for now, we are waiting to see how they will deal with this new discovery.
Great stuff. I want to move from oil and gas to healthcare. Back in April, Cote d'Ivoire signed a $300 million financing agreement with the International Finance Corporation to procure medical equipment from General Electric and Philips. When do we start to see this equipment coming in?
I think probably in 2022, because before COVID, the pandemic of COVID, some companies in the sector are implementing program to modernize the system. So I think that this company will be the equipment via this program.
Great stuff. Is it possible for the Ivory Coast to become a medical hub in the region based on this agreement?
It's possible. This is but I think that there's room for improvement, and it's sure that the Ivorian authorities want to have the medical hub is the key element of this strategy, but they have to modernize the platform, the medical platform. They have to invest in beds. They have to strengthen the skills of human resources to be able to really attain this goal. So I think that there are more and they will manage for this medical hub to be. And actually, there is a medical health center which is renowned to have another reinforce this visibility to really be a medical hub.
Great stuff. I want to move to cocoa. You're the largest cocoa producer in the world. Has there been any recent strategic discussions on producing the chocolates derived from cocoa for the purpose of sale, as is done in European nations like Switzerland, for instance, which imports your cocoa and then turn it into this multi-billion-dollar chocolate industry?
It's true that actually we don't really transform like we want our cocoa. Just transform 30 and 40% of the cocoa bean in semi-finished product, and the finished product are less than 5% of the transformation. So there are a lot to do, and the Ivorian government really wants to be a part of this value chain, and for that they made some efforts in the tax benefits depending on the level of processing. And 2020 they invest in two complexes which have capacity of transformation or processing cocoa for about 50,000 each processing complexes, and they are also two storage warehouse and a center. So I think that they are conscious about the fact that they have to ameliorate, to improve the value chain. But for now, it's a process, and we are in to get at the 100% of transformation of cocoa.
Great stuff. I want to ask you about inflation. How has Ivory Coast maintained single-digit inflation so far? Is it because your currency is anchored to the euro through France? How have you managed to do it? I hope we can take a look at inflation over in Ivory Coast. Yeah, let us know.
I think that, like you said, we are part of the UEMOA zone, which allow us to have a stability of price. And of course, when you have your main partner for trade with a fixed parity, euro and CFA, that's it's a great deal to maintain a inflation at a low level. And for instance, Eurozone represents about 30% of imports and 20% of exports. So that can be the main facts that will justify the single-digit inflation. But we can add that the Ivorian government also makes some efforts to manage the rise of basic products. So that's the two main things that can justify the single we can see.
Great stuff. All right, so we've talked oil and gas, we've talked healthcare, we've talked cocoa, we've talked inflation. Your outlook, how do you see the economy faring, I guess, as we close out the year for Côte d'Ivoire?
Oh, I think that we will be. Côte d'Ivoire was one of the countries that didn't really recorded a recession despite the pandemic, and the economy is relatively diversified. So for this year, I think the EMI outlook about 6% for the growth. So that's a great thing, and this show how resilient is Ivorian economy. That's my outlook.
Great stuff. Charles Levy, economist, of course, over in the Ivory Coast, joining us live. Thank you so much for talking to us about the ENI discovery, the $300 million deal with the IFC for medical procurement of medical devices, and also cocoa getting, of course, finished goods, the chocolates. Ivory Coast needs to export the actual chocolates, which are derived from cocoa, and of course, low inflation and the outlook for Côte d'Ivoire. Thank you so much, Charles.